Hey guys, finally some nice weather here in Ohio, and I'm out here sugar tree pad by myself doing a poly weld. I had to cut it. It was a live line, so there was water inside the line, but I drained the line first and then had to cut it. And what I want to do is walk you guys through the process of removing and installing a 4-inch poly line using our Pitbull poly welder. Okay, so first off, when the line is live, you want to drain as much water out of there as possible. Then you're going to go get the Milwaukee Sawzall. And what's important is after you cut the line, even though you've drained it, you're going to have water splash back up onto the end of the Sawzall. So when you're working with the Sawzall, you want to clean this end very well afterwards. Either rinse it off with it pointed down, like I'm pointing towards the ground right now. Rinse that off, wipe it out with paper towel, and then spray some blaster or something in there. All this time, you need to keep it facing down so it doesn't run back into the components of the Sawzall. That will keep the Sawzalls from getting ruined, as we've already ruined like 20 of these things. Salt water does not do good and impact Sawzalls, as you guys know this, any of our Milwaukee tools. So we want to continue to have the best tools. We need to keep those salt water free. Okay, so the first thing you do, obviously, use a Sawzall. You're gonna cut the poly weld. And then, as I've already done, as you can see, you're gonna grab a wipe or a paper towel and you're gonna wipe the joints clean on both ends of that you're welding, okay? And then I'm gonna set the camera down here, and so you guys can kind of see what I'm doing as I work on it, and kind of walk you guys through the process. Okay, so the next step after you guys got the joints cleaned, you're gonna come in with your clamp here. Leave a little bit of room inside there. A couple inches is fine. You wanna lower your clamp. Now when you're clamping this, it does not take excessive force, okay? You don't need to put a pipe wrench on it. You just tighten this by hand. It is not something that needs to be overly tightened, okay? So just tighten it by hand. Put your other piece in place. Tighten it by hand. Leave enough room to put your facer in. So the first thing we're going to do is face the two pipes to where they are even. So essentially you're putting the cutter in. All right, so the next step is you're going to have to run your cutter. So we'll get our cutter ready. Drop the cutter in there like that. Okay. And then we just need to plug it in. I already had my heater plate plugged in. As y'all know, it takes a while to warm up. So first thing I do whenever I get the tool out as I'm cutting and stuff is I move that hot plate over there and I plug it in. That way we're all not standing here for 30 minutes. Normally you got more people here. If you're not standing here for 30 minutes waiting for the hot plate to warm up, okay? Now it's the same thing with the cutter and the hot plate. You don't want salt water on it. So as we do this, it's important that each piece stays dry, and if anything gets on it, that we immediately wipe it down. So right now I'm gonna start the cutter so you guys can watch me cut the pipe real quick. It's real quick. We're just gonna face both sides to where they're even. The cutter's on. All right. Both sides are faced. Now we can pull the cutter back out. It's that quick. Little lever on the side. Put the cutter right back where it came from. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and switch my hot plate back in, as we'll be using that in just a second. All right. Now, over here, we're gonna remove all the shavings off of the pipe. All right. Now you wanna drag this in, make sure they match up. Now you also want to make sure that your two pipes are level with each other. As you can see, we have a little bit of a variance, but it's not much. We have up to a 10% variance on that, so you can readjust it. If you do readjust it, you will need to reface it a little bit again before you bring it to it. So The next part that we're gonna do is heat the two joints with the hot plate. So we're gonna go check the temperature on our hot plate, which I will show you guys. All right, right here, and you'll check the temperature, and green flashing means that it's ready to go. So our plate is to temp, and so we will be ready to weld. You do need about 450, 475 degrees to do a butt joint. So we'll go ahead and pull that out. Set this guy in there. And drop this in. And, hold on a second. We'll have to adjust the pipe. Get a little bit more space in there. Okay. All right, so now we have the hot plate. We'll go ahead and bring the two pieces together. And then we could set on the bottom, you can set your clamp to hold pressure. Now when you're doing this, it does not require a lot of pressure. You're gonna sit here and heat the two sides of the pipe evenly until you get about, on a 4-inch line, you're gonna get about an 1/8 inch bead, okay? So it's important that you wait and watch it and get to your 1/8 inch bead. Doesn't take too long. Okay, so once you get to your 1/8 inch bead on both sides of your pipe, you're gonna pull the hot plate out of the welding machine, and you need to do this relatively fast. So once I draw this back and it's ready to weld, I'm gonna pull the hot plate out, but I'm gonna leave enough space to where when I pull the hot plate out, it doesn't hit the weld. It's very important that you don't hit the weld with the hot plate. So you'll see it here in just a second as we're ready to weld now. I'm gonna draw it back. We're gonna pull the hot plate out, straight out, okay? We're gonna go set it down. Then I'm gonna inspect the face, make sure it's nice, flat, even, no debris. And then I'm gonna come in and push the two together and apply enough force to get a good little bead on there, okay? Now, when you've done this, you can go ahead and set your clamps here on the side. On both sides, you can check, make sure they're good, and you could let this go and let this sit here for a little while your weld dries, okay? So that is how you do a poly weld. It's pretty quick. It shouldn't take you guys longer than 10 minutes to knock out a weld. All the equipment is in the tool trailer at the Sugar Tree pad, so if you need to do your own weld, like I said, just make sure you keep the salt water off everything. So like when I'm done with this, I'm gonna be wiping down the clamp, I'll be wiping down the hot plate, and that is one thing I discussed. The hot plate has to be contaminant free whenever you do the weld. So it's important that you wipe the hot plate down with a lint-free cloth, like a white paper towel will be great. Just wipe it down before you use it so you don't have any contaminants or anything in it. Okay, I mean, that's it. Thank you guys. Bye.